Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Liberty, watching the stars through the big window in front of him. He had dreamed of this moment since he was a small boy back on Earth. Humanity had finally made it into the big club of space races called the Galactic Federation. They were no longer alone in the universe. They had friends among the stars now. The communication screen in front of him started to glow with an incoming message. Jake smiled, thinking it might be another friendly hello from one of their new alien friends. The Altarians had been teaching human doctors new ways to heal people. The Centauri had shown them how to build better spaceships that could travel faster than light. Even the peaceful Andromedans had welcomed humans with open arms and warm hearts, but the face that appeared on the screen was not friendly at all. Admiral Kekstar of the Zephyrian High Command looked at Jake with cold, angry eyes. His blue skin seemed darker than usual, and his 4 arms were crossed in a way that meant trouble. All Federation vessels are to stop all contact with human space. Right now, the alien admiral said in a voice like ice. The humans have shown themselves to be unworthy of being part of civilized space. Their violent ways and wild behavior make them dangerous to all good species. Jake felt his heart stop beating for a moment. Dr. Lisa Parker, who worked as the ship's expert on alien life forms, stood next to him with her mouth open in shock. She had spent years learning about different alien cultures and had made many friends among the stars. Now those same friends were turning their backs on humanity. "What are you talking about?" Jake asked, but the alien admiral continued speaking as if Jake had not said anything at all. "The human species has proven they cannot be trusted. When pirates attacked our supply ships near the border of human space, the humans did something that no civilized race would ever do. They saved both the innocent crew members and the criminal pirates who had attacked them. They chose to try to help the criminals become better instead of killing them as justice demands." Jake remembered that day very well. Commander Rick Hughes, who was his second in command, had led the rescue mission. They had found the Federation supply convoy under attack by a group of desperate pirates who were just trying to feed their families. The pirates had old broken ships and simple weapons. They were no real threat to anyone, but they were still people who needed help. The human rescue ships had saved everyone. They brought the Federation crew to safety, and they also brought the pirates aboard their ships. Instead of throwing the pirates into space or shooting them, the humans had given them food and medical care. They had listened to their stories about how hard life was in the outer rim of the galaxy, where food was hard to find, and work was even harder. The humans had set up a program to help the pirates find honest work. Some of them became miners on human colonies. Others learned to fix spaceships or work on farms. A few even joined the human space fleet as crew members after proving they wanted to change their lives. To the humans, this seemed like the right thing to do. People made mistakes, but that did not mean they could not become better. Every human knew stories of criminals who had turned their lives around and become good citizens. It was part of what made humans human, but to the aliens in the Federation, this was weakness. In their minds, criminals were criminals forever. The only way to deal with them was death or prison for life. The idea that someone could change and become better was strange and dangerous to them. "You harbor dangerous elements," Admiral Kekstar continued. "You show mercy to those who deserve none. This makes you unpredictable and unsafe. The Federation Council has voted. All contact with human space is now forbidden. No trade, no communication, no help of any kind. You are cut off from civilized space until you learn to act like civilized beings." One by one, other alien faces appeared on screens around the bridge. Each one delivered the same message. The Altarians who had seemed so kind were now cold and distant. The Centauri who had shared their technology now called humans primitive and violent. Even the gentle Andromedans turned away from their former friends. Dr. Parker watched her life's work crumble before her eyes. All the friendships she had built, all the trust she had worked so hard to create was being destroyed in minutes. Tears ran down her face as species after species cut their communication links with humanity. Commander Hughes came onto the bridge reading a datapad with shaking hands. Captain, they are implementing a complete blockade of human space. No alien ship is allowed to enter our territory. No human ship is allowed to leave it. They are treating us like we have some kind of disease. Jake looked around at his crew. They were good people, all of them. Some had been soldiers who had fought in wars. Some were scientists who just wanted to learn about the universe. Some were engineers who loved to build things and fix problems. And yes, some had been criminals who have found new purpose in life among the stars. The crew was diverse in every way possible. They came from different countries on Earth, different backgrounds, different beliefs. Some had made mistakes in their past, but they had all chosen to be better. They had all chosen to serve something bigger than themselves. "Sir, what are our orders?" Hughes asked quietly. Jake looked out at the stars that suddenly seemed much colder and more distant than before. Humanity had been alone in the universe for thousands of years before they met the aliens. They had survived wars and disasters and famines and plagues. They had built spaceships and colonies and cities among the stars all by themselves. Maybe being alone was not the worst thing that could happen to them. "Set course for Earth," Jake said with a smile that surprised everyone, including himself. "We are going home to tell our people that we are on our own again. And we are going to show these aliens what humans can do when they really have to." The stars did not seem so cold anymore. 3 years had passed since the day the aliens turned their backs on humanity. People on Earth and the human colonies called it the abandonment now. It was a time that would be remembered forever as the moment when humans learned they could only count on each other. Life had become much harder for everyone. Without alien technology and trade deals, the outer colonies struggled to get enough food. The terraforming project on Mars had stopped working because they needed alien machines to change the air. People were scared and angry, and some were starting to lose hope. Dr. Amanda Bell worked day and night in her laboratory deep under the city of New Geneva. She was one of the smartest people on Earth, and she had spent the last 3 years studying every piece of alien technology the humans still had. Her assistant Kevin Torres brought her coffee and food because she often forgot to eat when she was thinking about hard problems. "There has to be another way to do this," Amanda said to Kevin as she looked at the broken pieces of an alien machine. "If they will not share their knowledge with us, then we will have to make something better ourselves." Kevin nodded and handed her another tool. He had learned not to interrupt Amanda when she was working, but he could tell she was getting close to something important. The pile of human-made parts on her work table was growing bigger every day. She was trying to build machines that could do the same jobs as alien technology, but using only human ideas and human materials. Far away on the mining colony of Kepler 442b, a man named Don Cooper faced a problem that could kill 3,000 people. He was in charge of keeping the colony running, and the alien-built life support systems were breaking down. The machines that made clean air to breathe were failing, and they only had maybe 6 months before everyone would die. Dan's best engineer was a woman named Rebecca Foster, who was known for her quick temper and her brilliant mind. She had been working for weeks with no sleep trying to figure out how to fix the alien machines with human tools and human parts. The Federation designed these systems so they would always need alien repair parts, Rebecca explained to a crowd of worried colonists in the main meeting hall. "They never thought we would have to survive without them. But they do not know how smart humans can be when we have to be." Rebecca had an idea that seemed crazy to most people. Instead of trying to fix the alien machines, she wanted to build completely new human machines to replace them. It would be dangerous and difficult, but it might be their only chance to live. The colonists voted to let Rebecca try her plan. They had no choice, really. It was either try something new or wait to die breathing bad air. Back on Earth, President Maria Rodriguez stood in front of the United Nations to give a speech that many people thought would be about giving up. The news reports were full of stories about colonies running out of supplies and people losing faith in the future, but Maria was not ready to give up. She had grown up in a poor family and had worked her way up to become the leader of all humanity. She knew that humans were at their best when things were at their worst. "We are not the first species to face the possibility of dying out," she told the assembled representatives from every nation on Earth. But we may be the first to face it with our eyes open and our hands ready to help each other. We will not surrender to fear or despair. We will find a way to survive and to thrive among the stars. Captain Morrison had been promoted to lead something called the Space Guard, which was humanity's new space fleet. Without the Federation's friendship, humans had to protect themselves. The Space Guard ships were smaller and simpler than alien vessels, but they were built by humans for humans. Morrison received reports from scout ships that traveled to the edges of human space. What they found was disturbing news about their former alien friends. The Zephyrians were dealing with a disease that was killing millions of their people. The Altarians and Centauri were fighting a war over mining rights in a star system that both sides claimed. Entire colonies of various alien species were simply disappearing with no explanation. The galaxy that had abandoned humanity was starting to fall apart, and humanity seemed to be the only species that noticed or cared. Dr. Lisa Parker had become the head of Earth's Xenological Research Division, which was a fancy name for the department that studied aliens. She spent her days reading old reports and analyzing data from before the abandonment, trying to understand what was happening to their former friends. "Something is wrong out there," she told Morrison during one of their weekly meetings. "The Federation species are having more problems now than they ever did when we were part of their group. It is like our absence made them weaker somehow." Morrison nodded as he looked at star maps showing where Federation colonies had gone silent. "Maybe they needed us more than they thought. Maybe our different way of thinking about problems helped them solve things they could not solve on their own." Meanwhile, Amanda Bell made a breakthrough in her laboratory. She had figured out how to make human spaceships travel faster than light, without using any alien technology at all. Her method was completely different from how the aliens did it. Instead of bending space like the aliens did, Amanda's ships would use something called quantum entanglement to jump from one place to another instantly. "We are not just copying what they did," she explained to Kevin as she showed him the plans for humanity's first original faster-than-light engine. "We are doing something completely new, something they never thought of." Rebecca Foster succeeded in saving the Kepler colony by building new life support systems from scratch using only human engineering principles. The systems she built were actually better than the alien ones because they could be repaired and improved by anyone with basic technical training. Word of Rebecca's success spread to other colonies, and soon human engineers everywhere were working to replace alien technology with human alternatives. It was hard work and many attempts failed, but slowly, surely humanity was learning to stand on its own feet again. The 3 years of isolation had been difficult, but they had also taught humanity something important. They did not need the aliens to survive. They had their own minds, their own skills, their own determination. They had each other, and that was enough. As the 4th year of the abandonment began, humanity was no longer the weak species that had begged for acceptance into the Galactic Federation. They were becoming something new, something stronger, something that the galaxy had never seen before. They were becoming truly independent, and that independence would soon prove to be the galaxy's salvation. 6 years had passed since the aliens had cut off all contact with humanity. During those years, humans had learned to do things they never thought possible. They had built their own faster-than-light ships and created their own colonies without any help from alien technology. But what they discovered next would change everything. Colonel Sam Martinez was the best pilot in the human space fleet. He had been chosen to test the first spaceship built completely by humans that could travel faster than light. The ship was called New Horizon, and it used Dr. Amanda Bell's quantum entanglement drive instead of the space-bending technology that aliens used. Sam strapped himself into the pilot's seat and started the engines. The ship hummed with energy that felt different from alien ships. This was human energy, human science, human dreams made real. "Control, this is New Horizon ready for jump," Sam said into his radio. "You are cleared for jump, Sam," came the reply from Earth. "Make us proud." Sam pressed the button and the universe changed around him. Instead of the slow acceleration that alien ships use, Sam's ship simply disappeared from one place and appeared in another instantly. The trip that would have taken alien ships 3 days took Sam 3 seconds. "Control, this is incredible," Sam radioed back to Earth. "We are not just matching their speed, we are beating it by a huge margin." But as Sam flew deeper into space using his new ship, he saw something that made his blood run cold. The Andromedans, who had once been humanity's closest friends, were under attack. Their peaceful worlds were being destroyed by an enemy unlike anything Sam had ever seen. Huge black ships, the size of small moons, were tearing apart Andromedan colonies. They were not just conquering the worlds, they were consuming them completely. Everything on the surface was being sucked up into the giant ships and processed into raw materials. Sam recorded everything he saw and rushed back to Earth with the terrible news. The footage he brought back showed a threat that was beyond anything humans had imagined. The enemy ships were not piloted by any living creatures. They were machines, ancient and powerful and hungry for everything they could devour. Dr. Lisa Parker studied the recordings with growing horror. She was now the head of humanity's alien research department, and what she saw in Sam's footage terrified her more than anything she had encountered in her years of studying alien cultures. "This is not random destruction," she told the emergency council that had been called to discuss the threat. "These machines are hunting advanced civilizations on purpose. They target the technology and infrastructure first, then they consume everything else." The enemy was revealed through more footage that Sam and other human scouts brought back from deep space. They called themselves the Devourers, and they were an ancient machine intelligence that had been sleeping for millions of years. Something had awakened them, and now they were spreading across the galaxy like a plague, consuming entire star systems. Kevin Torres, who had worked with Amanda Bell for years, made an important discovery. He was now leading a team of the best human engineers and scientists, and they had been studying how the Devourers attacked their victims. "The Federation's technology makes them easy targets," Kevin explained to the council. "Every alien species uses the same basic principles for their ships and their weapons and their defenses. The Devourers have learned how to counter all of it." Captain Morrison, who now commanded humanity's space defense forces, studied the tactical reports with growing understanding. The irony of the situation was not lost on him. The aliens had abandoned humanity because humans were different and unpredictable. Now that same difference might be the only thing that could save the galaxy. "They cut us off because we did not think like them," Morrison said to his staff officers. "Our weapons work differently, our ships work differently, our whole approach to technology is different. The Devourers know how to fight Federation technology, but they have never seen anything like what we have built." Rebecca Foster, who had saved the Kepler colony and was now one of humanity's top engineers, made a proposal that shocked everyone. "We have to go back out there. We have to save the same species that abandoned us to die." The debate that followed was intense. Many humans argued that they owed nothing to the aliens who had condemned them to isolation. Why should humanity risk everything to save people who had turned their backs on them in their hour of need? But others, led by President Rodriguez, believed that saving the galaxy was the right thing to do, regardless of how badly the aliens had treated humanity in the past. "We do not help people because they deserve it," she said. "We help people because they need it and because we can." The decision came when a desperate message broke through the communication blockade that had been in place for 6 years. A young Zephyrian scientist named Veltar was broadcasting from her dying world, begging anyone who could hear her to help her people. Dr. Parker recognized the voice. Veltar had been one of her closest friends during humanity's early days in the Federation. The young alien had always treated humans with kindness and respect, even when others looked down on them. "Please, if anyone can hear this," Veltar's voice came through the static, filled with fear and desperation. "Our world is dying. The machines have come and our defenses cannot stop them. We have women and children here who have done nothing wrong. They do not deserve to die like this." The message broke the heart of everyone who heard it. Even those who had argued against helping the aliens found themselves moved by the plea of a young scientist who just wanted to save her people. President Rodriguez called for a vote. Should humanity break their isolation and go to the aid of the species that had abandoned them? The vote was close, but in the end, compassion won over anger. Humanity would return to the galaxy not as conquerors, but as saviors. Captain Morrison began assembling the largest fleet in human history. 50 ships of various designs, all using human faster-than-light technology and equipped with weapons and defenses that no alien had ever seen. The flagship was called Use Defiance, and its crew included both veteran space travelers and reformed criminals, the very people whose inclusion had caused humanity's exile in the first place. Amanda Bell worked around the clock to outfit the fleet with her latest inventions. Human weapons that used kinetic energy and chemical explosives instead of the energy beams that aliens preferred. Human shields that worked on completely different principles from Federation technology. Human sensors that could detect things that alien science had never imagined. As the fleet prepared to leave Earth, Morrison addressed his crews over the ship's communication system. We are going back to a galaxy that does not want us to save people who abandoned us. We are doing this not because they deserve our help, but because it is who we are. We are humans, and humans do not abandon people in need. The fleet launched from Earth on a mission that would either save the galaxy or destroy humanity's last hope for survival. But as Morrison looked out at the stars, he felt something he had not felt in 6 years. He felt hope. The human fleet traveled through space faster than any ships in galactic history. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, watching the stars blur past as they raced toward the Andromedan homeworld of Serenity Prime Intelligence. Reports showed that the peaceful planet was under attack by a massive devourer. Swarm. Morrison's crew was unlike any other in the galaxy. Commander Rick Hughes, now captain of the UES Perseverance, had handpicked veterans and newcomers alike. Former soldiers worked alongside reformed thieves and smugglers. Scientists shared duties with ex-pirates who had found new purpose among the stars. It was exactly the kind of mixed crew that had made the Federation nervous years ago. "Captain, we are approaching Serenity Prime," reported Navigation Officer Julie Chun from her station. "Long-range sensors show multiple Devourer ships in orbit around the planet." Morrison nodded grimly. "Put it on the main screen." What they saw made even hardened veterans gasp in shock. The beautiful blue-green world that had once welcomed humanity with open arms was being consumed by machines the size of mountains. Massive black ships hung in space above the planet, sending down streams of energy that tore cities from the ground and pulled them up into processing chambers. In space, around the planet, Federation ships fled in panic. Zephyrian cruisers, Altarian destroyers, and Centauri frigates all ran from the Devourer fleet without even attempting to fight. Their standardized weapons and defenses were useless against an enemy that had learned to counter every trick in the Federation playbook. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison," he said into the fleet communication system. "Execute Plan Delta. Show these machines what human engineering can do." The human fleet split into smaller groups and attacked the Devourer swarm from multiple directions at once. Instead of the predictable formation flying that Federation forces used, the human ships moved in chaotic patterns that seemed random but were actually carefully coordinated. The UES Liberty under Captain Sarah Kim launched a barrage of kinetic projectiles, simple chunks of metal accelerated to incredible speeds. The Devourers had learned to absorb or deflect energy weapons, but they had never encountered anything like a tungsten rod moving at 30% of light speed. The UES Freedom, commanded by Captain Alex Rodriguez, deployed chemical explosive warheads that created massive fireballs in space. Again, the ancient machines had no defense against such primitive but effective weapons, but it was the UES Defiance that delivered the most devastating blow. Morrison's ship fired a spread of nuclear missiles, each one guided by human pilots who stayed with their weapons until the moment of impact. The explosions tore holes in the Devourer mothership's hull and forced the entire swarm to retreat from the planet. "This is Andromedan Defense Command to unknown human vessels," came a transmission filled with surprise and gratitude. "We cannot believe you have returned. We thought your species had been wiped out years ago." Morrison smiled as he responded, "Reports of our death have been greatly exaggerated. We are here to help evacuate your people." The evacuation of Serenity Prime took 18 hours. Human ships loaded with Andromedan civilians made trip after trip between the dying planet and safe worlds deeper in Federation space. The refugees could not believe that the species they had abandoned was now risking everything to save them. Commander Hughes led a particularly dangerous mission to extract Andromedan scientists from a research station that was about to be overrun by Devourer ground forces. The station contained irreplaceable data about galactic civilization, and losing it would have been a disaster. "Your Federation friends left you here to die," Hughes told the grateful scientists as his Marines loaded them onto transport ships. "But humans do not abandon people who need help." Dr. Amanda Bell had come along with the fleet, bringing her most advanced equipment. Working with Andromedan physicist Dr. Ventile, she made a discovery that would change everything. The Devourers were not just random destroyers, they were connected through a vast network that allowed them to share information and coordinate their attacks. "If we can disrupt their network, we can turn their greatest strength into a weakness," Amanda explained to Morrison. "But we will need to get close to their main hub, and that means going to the galactic core where their mothership is located." Kevin Torres worked with alien engineers to develop new weapons and defenses. The combination of human creativity and alien knowledge created technologies that neither species could have invented alone. Quantum disruptors that could shut down Devourer systems and energy shields that could absorb their cutting beams. As word spread across the galaxy that humanity had returned and was fighting the Devourers, more and more desperate pleas for help arrived at the human fleet. The Zephyrians begged for assistance as their homeworld came under attack. The Altarians asked for human ships to escort their evacuation convoys. Even species that had voted most strongly for humanity's exile now swallowed their pride and asked for salvation. Morrison's response to every plea was the same: "We are coming, all of you." The human fleet grew as they rescued more and more Federation worlds. Alien crews volunteered to serve on human ships, bringing their own knowledge and skills to the fight. Former enemies worked side by side with humans. Learning that cooperation was more powerful than competition, Rebecca Foster joined the fleet as chief engineer, bringing with her dozens of specialists who had learned to work miracles with limited resources. She set up mobile repair stations that could fix both human and alien ships using whatever materials were available. "The Federation way was to have a part for every problem," Rebecca explained to a mixed group of human and alien engineers. "The human way is to make any part work for any problem. That flexibility is what keeps us fighting when others give up." Dr. Lisa Parker established communication networks that allowed the fleet to coordinate with resistance groups across the galaxy. Small bands of survivors on dozens of worlds began working together, sharing intelligence and resources in ways that the rigid Federation hierarchy had never allowed. The Devourers adapted to human tactics faster than anyone expected. Their machine intelligence analyzed every battle and developed countermeasures for human weapons and strategies. What had been easy victories became desperate struggles as the ancient enemy learned to fight back, but humans adapted too. Every setback led to new innovations, every defeat taught lessons that made the next victory possible. The crew of the UES Defiance worked around the clock developing new approaches to old problems. Morrison realized that the final confrontation would not be won by superior firepower or better technology. It would be won by the thing that had gotten humanity exiled from the Federation in the first place: the willingness to sacrifice for others, even when those others had failed to deserve such sacrifice. "Prepare the fleet for maximum jump," Morrison ordered as intelligence reports confirmed the location of the Devourer mothership. "We are going to the galactic core, and we are going to end this once and for all." The stars ahead held either salvation or destruction for every living thing in the galaxy, and humanity would face that fate with the same courage that had carried them through 6 years of isolation and abandonment. The galactic core was a place of ancient wonders and terrible beauty. Billions of stars crowded together in a spiral dance that had continued for eons before any living creature had looked up at the night sky. But now this sacred place was dominated by something that should never have been there. The Devour mothership hung in space like a cancerous growth against the stellar backdrop. It was larger than most moons, and its surface crawled with millions of smaller ships that moved like insects around their queen. The construct had been built from the consumed remains of countless worlds and civilizations, each one a testament to the machine intelligence's hunger for destruction. Captain Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES Defiance, surrounded by his crew of humans and aliens who had come together in the face of annihilation. The combined fleet of survivors from across the galaxy stretched out behind his flagship, but even their numbers seemed pathetically small compared to the enemy they faced. "Sir, we are detecting over 10 million Devour ships defending the mothership," reported sensor operator Danny Walsh. "Even with our technological advantages, we are outnumbered 1,000 to 1, Morrison nodded calmly. He had known this would be a suicide mission from the moment they had decided to come here. But sometimes the right thing to do was also the impossible thing to do, and humans had never been very good at accepting the word impossible. "All ships, this is Admiral Morrison," he said into the fleet communication system. "Today we face odds that no sane person would accept. We are here not because we think we can win, but because someone has to try. Every species, every world, every living thing in this galaxy is counting on us to do what others could not do." Dr. Amanda Bell and Kevin Torres worked frantically in the ship's laboratory, putting the finishing touches on their quantum disruption virus. The program was designed to be uploaded directly into the Devourer mothership's central processor, where it would spread through their network and shut down every machine in their vast fleet. "The upload will take at least 10 minutes, Amanda told Morrison, "and we will have to get within point-blank range of their main defensive grid to make it work." Morrison smiled grimly. "Then we better make sure they are too busy to notice us getting that close." The battle began with the human fleet, charging straight into the heart of the Devourer swarm. Instead of trying to fight their way through the enemy ships, the humans used their superior speed and maneuverability to dance between the massive constructs, confusing their targeting systems and drawing fire away from the Defiance. Captain Sarah Kim of the UES Liberty led a squadron of fast attack ships in a diversionary assault on the mothership's outer defenses. Her ships fired everything they had at the ancient construct, knowing that their weapons could not penetrate its armor, but hoping to draw attention away from Morrison's approach. Commander Hughes aboard the UES Perseverance coordinated the evacuation of civilian transports that had followed the fleet to the galactic core. Thousands of refugee ships from dozens of species hung back at a safe distance, waiting to see if the desperate gamble would succeed, or if they would be the last survivors of galactic civilization. The Devourers fought back with overwhelming firepower. Their energy weapons carved through space like deadly lightning, and their swarm ships moved in perfect coordination to surround and destroy individual human vessels. The Use of Freedom exploded in a ball of plasma, taking Captain Rodriguez and his crew of 300 volunteers with it. Rebecca Foster worked miracles in the Defiance's engine room, keeping the ship running through damage that should have destroyed it completely. Her engineering team patched hull breaches with spare metal and rerouted power through systems that were never designed to handle such loads. "We are losing structural integrity on decks 4 through 7, she reported to Morrison over the ship's communication system. "But we can keep flying for maybe another 15 minutes if we are lucky." 15 minutes would have to be enough. The Defiance broke through the outer defensive ring and raced toward the mothership's central processor hub. Behind them, the rest of the human fleet fought desperately to keep the Devourer swarm busy. Ships exploded and died, but their crews kept fighting, knowing that every second they bought might be the difference between success and total failure. Dr. Lisa Parker coordinated with alien scientists aboard other ships to provide targeting data for the upload. Her xenological knowledge helped identify the exact location where the virus would have the maximum effect on the Devourer network. There, she said, pointing to a section of the mothership that pulsed with energy. That is their central consciousness. If we can get the virus into that system, it will spread to every connected machine in the galaxy. Morrison piloted the Defiance through a maze of defensive weapons and smaller ships. His years of experience and natural flying ability kept them alive as energy beams and kinetic projectiles filled the space around them. The ship shuddered and sparked but kept moving toward their target. Upload commencing, Amanda announced as they reached the optimal position. Beginning data transfer now. The virus upload crawled forward with agonizing slowness. 10%, 20%, 30%. Each second felt like an hour as the Devourer defenses concentrated their fire on the Defiance. The ship's shields failed and hull plates began to melt under the intense bombardment. "Hull breach on the bridge," someone screamed as atmosphere rushed out through a jagged hole in the wall. Morrison stayed at his post, keeping the ship steady while his crew struggled to seal the breach with emergency patches. 50%, 60%, 70%. The ship was coming apart around them, but the upload continued. Kevin Torres worked frantically to keep the communication link stable while sparks showered down from damaged systems overhead. "Sir, the quantum matrix is destabilizing," Amanda warned. "If we lose containment now, the feedback will destroy us and the virus will be corrupted." Morrison looked around at his crew. These people had followed him across the galaxy to fight an impossible enemy and save people who had abandoned them. They deserved better than to die in the cold emptiness of space, but sometimes heroes did not get to choose their fate. "All hands. This is the captain," Morrison announced over the ship's speakers. "Prepare for quantum cascade failure. It has been an honor to serve with all of you." 90%, 95%, 98%. The ship was breaking apart, but the upload was almost complete. Morrison held the controls steady with hands that were cut and bleeding from flying debris. 100%. Upload complete. The virus spread through the Devourer network like wildfire. In seconds, it reached every ship, every drone, every processing station in their vast fleet. The ancient machines that had consumed countless worlds suddenly stopped moving and began shutting down one by one. The quantum feedback from the upload tore the Defiance apart. Morrison was thrown from his chair as the bridge collapsed around him. Through the smoke and flames, he could see his crew working to save each other, even as their ship died beneath them. The mothership began to break apart as its control systems failed. Millions of Devourer ships went dark and drifted powerless in space. The network that had coordinated their attacks for eons was finally silent. Morrison smiled as he felt consciousness slipping away. They had done it. Against impossible odds. With inadequate resources and no hope of survival, they had saved the galaxy. It was the most human thing he could imagine. The rescue ships arrived hours later to find survivors scattered among the wreckage of both fleets. Commander Hughes pulled Morrison from the ruins of the Defiance's bridge, barely alive but still breathing. The Admiral would recover, but he would never be the same. Dr. Parker addressed the assembled representatives of every surviving species on the neutral world of Haven. The Galactic Federation was gone, replaced by something new called the Alliance, where every voice would be heard and no species would ever be abandoned again. "You cast us out because we were different," she told the crowd. "Because we would not abandon our criminals and outcasts. That difference saved you, and it saved the galaxy." Admiral Kekstar of the Zephyrians formally apologized for the exile. "We feared your violence and your unpredictable nature. We did not understand that these were strengths, not weaknesses. Your chaos saved us when our order failed." President Rodriguez, now elderly but still strong, established the new principles that would govern the Alliance. No species would face extinction alone. Diversity of thought and technology would be celebrated, not feared. The weak would be protected by the strong, and the strong would be guided by the wise. Rebecca Foster was elected as the first human admiral of the Alliance fleet. Her crews were a mixture of every species in the galaxy working together with human engineering principles. Creative chaos that could solve any problem and overcome any obstacle. The colonies that had been saved began to rebuild using a combination of human and alien knowledge. New technologies emerged from the cooperation between species that had once viewed each other with suspicion and fear. The galaxy became stronger because of its diversity, not in spite of it. Kevin Torres established the Galactic Institute of Technology, where young beings from every world could learn together. Human creativity combined with alien logic to produce innovations that neither could achieve alone. The Institute's motto was simple but powerful: